Yeah, I didn't know before I guess we started. I didn't even know you had Instagram. It came on my like suggested follow. I was like,
have Instagram?
You do.
Well, that's your mom
They ask you,
posing
you
as
do.
me.
That's hilarious.
And I was like, I know this is not him.
Even
Like,
your daughter didn't.
I followed you. So
Oh, good, thank you.
You know,
You
it's
follow
a
me too?
strange life you're living when your dad comes up as a suggested follow for you, and you didn't know he had
That's
a
weird.
account.
you have like a couple hundred posts already. I was
Yeah.
like, you have a lot of posts.
I'm sure Missy's done a good job.
I'll just welcome everyone to the conversation we're already having. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome back to the Whoa That's Good podcast. I have two incredible guests on the podcast today. We have Jase, my uncle, many of you are familiar with from Dynasty days. And then I also have his daughter, my cousin Mia, who as well y'all are familiar with. And if you follow her on social media, you've read the books, you've seen her life. This girl is an incredible light to the world. But today we're just here to talk and have fun. Jase just mentioned he hasn't been on social media in 5 years. So
5 years.
we can all learn a little bit from that.
I made the break. Not sure when. I think I was Miss Mia and I were just, when she was, what were you, 14 or 15 years old? And I was trying to do the parental thing. We got to make good decisions with these phones. And we were going through that stage of our life. And somewhere in there, I was just like, and why am I on social media? I mean,
Yeah.
it was just taking so much time in my life. So my family does it for me. So it's a version of me, I guess.
That's
So,
good.
Yeah.
Well,
But
because people can learn from you, even if it's not necessarily you, but you have a great following. So
Yeah, and I think that stuck because next semester I'm going abroad, and I don't want to take my phone because, like, I don't know, like, I just don't like social media. So I went to like my like carrier service, and I was like, I'm gonna get a flip phone. And he was like, you want to trade in your iPhone for a flip phone? And I was like, yes. And he was
Wow.
like, you should just buy a new one. Like, just keep your phone if you want to turn it on. And he was like, I was like, I'm sorry if that's so weird, but he was like, yeah, no, like that's a great idea. So
did you
I'm
get
excited.
one?
I'm getting it. They're like $20 at Target. So
What?
I was like,
I love this girl.
I'm just gonna get one.
Real
He was trying to get me to buy like the $100 one. I was like, no, I'm just gonna. So we're gonna bedazzle it, make it cute.
Oh
So,
my gosh. You're
I'm
about
excited.
to start a trend. Do you know everyone's about to go to Target and get a $20 flip phone?
I'm hoping because I think I could tell a difference in like
Wow.
the little things with social media, like
Dang.
the way I listen and like honestly like my memory. I feel like I don't know,
Wow.
like makes my attention span shorter.
Yeah.
So I remember the
So-
conversation now because I always felt guilty because, Mia, she was born with a cleft lip and palate. She's had multiple surgeries and she handled the process way more than Missy and I. But it is tough when you're a teenager, but I always felt real guilty because I'm like, she didn't ask to be famous or
yeah.
or be in the limelight, and she was constantly physically changing and teenagers can be mean.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought we're partly responsible for putting her
Yeah.
in the limelight here. And so
Yeah.
I was, because I'm like, look, you get your approval from God
Mm-hmm.
and the people that love you. And I was trying to shelter her from any,
Mhm.
anything like that. And so part of that, I think I realized, if I'm going to speak to my daughter about this,
Mm-hmm.
I need to view God's approval first
Wow.
and the people that love me. And I do a lot of things in the
Mhm.
public, and I'm sure there are many comments on all these social media
Yeah.
things, but I think I'm just going to stick to doing what God wants me to do
It's great.
and not worry about what people think about it. I mean,
It's
if it goes
great.
dreadfully wrong, I'm sure, even though I don't have social media, I will find out.
You'll find out.
But it seems to be going well.
That's
So,
great. That's so good. And whenever I think about that verse, you take what the enemy meant for evil and you turned it for good. When I think about Joseph and his life, that is like your life. Like you've had a lot of hard things come at you, but each hard thing I've seen in your life, you take what was meant to harm you and you turn it for good. And you've not only, continue to show up online and continue to show up in person with a smile on your face, but like you teach people through the process. You're so wise. Even your first answer, I'm like, all right, we could stop for a minute. Everyone could ponder that we listen better when we're not on social media. Our attention span, like you have so much wisdom in you. What has that been like growing up famous on social media with the challenges that you face in your life? Has that been hard to like welcome people into the journey? Has it been something you've always embraced, or what does that look like for you?
For me, definitely, a lot of people like in the world, they really just I guess now like the term is called like clout chasing, but really they just like people that like they think they can get something from. And so I learned that probably in elementary school. Like people want to be my friend just because like, oh, your dad, like who's your dad? Like, oh, that's so cool. And so like at the time, even through high school, like I was like, oh, this is cool. Like I guess it would be my friend. But once they found out that I'm just a normal gal, they can't get things from me, they would go move on, find another friend. And it really took a toll on me. And I definitely like noticed changes in myself of like, oh, I need to like put on a mask of like,
wow.
I just don't like, it's kind of hard to explain, but like, it's just kind of like a step up of like the normal high school experience. Like, oh, you have to be cool. But like, I was like, oh, like these people want to be my friend. I need to figure out who I can trust. So it definitely took a toll on me. Just because growing up like that. So now I'm like in college, I do have a little bit of a wall. I was kind of scared to go to Christian school because I was like, oh, everyone there is going to know me.
Yeah.
But it's really just been the greatest thing ever. Like,
wow.
I've only had like a few instances where I'm like, oh, that was kind of odd. But like someone came up to me and he was like, does your uncle still preach at White Spray Road Church of Christ? I was like, I don't know who you are. He's like, does your brother still do music in Nashville? And I was like, this is too random.
He knew too much.
He knew too much. And I was like, this is kind of weird. But I was like, yeah, but it's definitely like helped me more like know whose intentions are
who loves
good.
you for you and
who loves me for me.
Yeah, that's so good. Well, I think it's really cool, Jase, that you're saying like in encouraging Mia to live a certain way and encourage you to live a certain way, because I think it's easy to look at the teenager and be like, oh, you might struggle with your identity, whether you had the cleft lip and palate or not. I mean, I struggle with my identity. We struggle with physical appearance. You struggle with the different things that most teenagers go through. And then on the grand scale of having the whole world have their opinion on you and all that kind of stuff. And even if you're not famous, people feel that. People are like worried about what people think about them, and they worry about what people have said, or a comment can bring them down so much. But people don't expect it as much from you. And I remember my dad sharing with me like things that hurt him that people said on Twitter, people said on Instagram. Were you surprised coming into fame how it affected you in ways that maybe you didn't think it would?
Yeah, I mean, it really is. It's not something I ever pursued. So I didn't really recognize it at first. I mean, I went through, I think, the normal process of feeling embarrassed at first. I mean, I remember the first time someone asked me for my autograph, and I said, you don't want that. I mean, because I just thought I cannot physically do this right now. I just hadn't thought about it. But at some point, it got to be a responsibility, because I looked back at my whole life and I thought God has a plan, for our family. And my number one struggle as a kid, I've been very open about this, was I was very shy. And so I dropped speech because I thought it was it was going to help me with my grammar. And they were like, no, you give speeches here in front of people. And I mean, I walked out of the classroom.
Dang.
I said, I will never get up in front of people and say anything. So it was a struggle. And really the Holy Spirit, the greatest counselor in the world, and really taught me that if I'm going to be convicted of my faith in Jesus, I'm just not going to be able to be shy about this.
Wow.
And so when I became famous, I thought, well, this is the last thing I would want to have for myself, is to be in the limelight. But I think I'm gonna use this as an opportunity. So that's just what I'm gonna do.
That's cool.
I hear your stories and I'm like, I have at least 3 times a day, on average, probably, somebody come up to me and just start a conversation. Hey, Jase, and so I have to go through the process. Do I really know you? And most of the time, I don't know them, but they know me.
Yeah.
So I just play along. And
that's real.
It's very awkward.
That's real. All right, friends. So I have been telling y'all about how amazing the Aura frames are, how they're great for your grandparents for Christmas, which is such a win because what grandparents do not want a million pictures of their grandkids? But also, I've recently discovered a great new way of using my Aura digital picture frame, and that is actually at my office with all of the girls that work at the office. We're all good friends, and so now we have an Aura frame set up, and it's so cool and so cute because we send a picture in that is like all of us, but then as people travel, as people are doing different things, it can be fun to just upload different things. When I'm gone, I can upload a video of encouragement to them whenever they show up to work. And so it's such a fun thing. You could even do this like in your sorority house or with your roommates and with your friends. So as great as it is for grandparents, this thing is good for everyone. Aura frames are super easy to use, and the Aura app walks you through the setup in just a few simple steps. Aura Frames comes with a free unlimited storage for photos and videos, and you can invite as many people as you want to share their photos on the frame too. There are no hidden fees or subscriptions, and the grandparents in your life can enjoy an unlimited supply of special memories and photos, like I mentioned, because there are thousands of Honey and Haven that I have to add. And plus, every Aura frame comes packaged in a premium gift box, so you can save on time and wrapping paper, which is an incredible gift for the holiday season. Like I mentioned, we set this up in our office. We have a cute little picture that we took when we went to the Joyce Meyer conference last month. That's the start of our Aura frame, but it's going to be so fun to see all the different girls sending in new pictures, sending in videos, and yeah, highly suggest doing this for your friends if you're living with your friends right now, or you're in a sorority house in college and a dorm. This could be super fun. So give the perfect gift this holiday season by visiting auraframes.com/whoa today and get $30 off their best-selling frames. These frames sell out really quickly though, so get yours before they're all gone. That's Aura, AURA, frames.com/whoa and use the promo code WHOA to get $30 off their best-selling frames. Terms and conditions apply. Because they know a lot more about you than you know about them. It's like they're sharing all the things that they know about you, and then after they share something that they know about you that is pretty personal, and then you have to say, and what's your name? Because you're starting fresh, you know? But it is cool to like get to know so many new people. And I think that the thing is, there's a lot of hard things about fame, but there's also like so many beautiful things too. And obviously, you know, y'all have a new TV show and y'all podcast and you continue to put yourself out there. So you're doing it because of that purpose of knowing, you know, even though there are some hard things and there are some weird things, I'm not going to be shy about the gospel, and I'm not going to be shy about what God's doing in our family's life. And I have to fight those things too. Like, part of me wants our little family to just be covered and protected and no one to know my kids' names and no one to know what they look like and all this stuff because the world's scary. But then there's this other part of me that goes, but God has given us this beautiful family, and to really show people what it looks like to love God and to love each other and what a life of faith looks like. And I can point people to Jesus. And so I don't want to be shy about that. You know, that's a gift God's given me to use, and not let my fear or my insecurities get in the way of me showing up and sharing my life. I think one thing that's really cool about our family is that although so much of our life has changed, we haven't changed necessarily. And I love how you were saying this morning you were up at 3:30.
Oh, what?
My husband went hunting with you yesterday.
He did. And I'm going to tell you something really funny.
What's that?
Is your grandpa, my dad, Mr. Phil, I don't know if he couldn't remember his name because he's almost 80 now, but he referred to your husband as Sadie's man.
Sadie's
He said, "Hey, Sadie's man, hand me that bag. Hey, Sadie's man, are you ready? Hey, Sadie's man." And I was like,
that's hilarious.
Are we now naming him Sadie's man?
He probably forgot his name. Well, what's funny because I asked Christian, he sent me a selfie of him and Papa Phil, which, you know, Papa Phil doesn't really take a lot of selfies. So I was like, oh, how was y'all's time together? And he was like, and it was actually really good. He complimented me. He said, Sadie's man has a good shot. And I was like, is that what he called you? He's like, yeah, that's what he called me, but it was nice.
It was really funny. We laughed.
He had a great time.
It was one of the best hunts that we've had in years. It was
really
fantastic. So I was really glad that he was a part of that.
Oh, he had the time of his life. But I love that y'all are still doing that. Like, you're still hunting in the morning, but that's just what you love to do. What do you feel like doing the things you've always loved has helped you, like, ground you and secure you as your life has changed so much?
It really does. I mean, I commit myself to those 9 months that are not in duck season. just to get there and stay true to my roots because I love to do it.
Yeah.
And it gives me an opportunity to kind of go back to when I was 14, looking at God's creation saying, I think someone made this.
It's cool.
And so that was the first thought I ever had about coming to Jesus, was really in a duck blind. You know, my dad,
Wow.
your grandpa, you know, had come to the Lord, but it, you know, I was kind of the guy like, this probably won't last or whatever. But it was me outdoors just looking around thinking, well, maybe there is something to this.
That's cool. Yeah.
And so I always have purposefully hunted most of the days of duck season. And this year has been one of the busiest years of my life because our show went from, I thought we would do one season to we're going to do 4 seasons in 2 years. And we do 4 podcasts a week. And so I just geared the whole schedule to literally the night before duck season.
Wow.
So I could go duck hunting.
Yeah.
And on the way, I stopped in Nashville and we had dinner together as a family because I had been on the road so much. And, you know, I got kind of teary-eyed. I just been so busy and I missed everybody. And so it was awesome. And then opening day, I was just like, I just kind of always make this funny analogy that it's like being reborn because you don't hunt for 9 months. Then you're born again.
Hey,
And,
that's cool.
Then you repeat the process.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I love that. I saw those pictures from y'all's night in Nashville and it looked really fun. Mia, I've been seeing you step into being an aunt lately, which is so fun. And also just following along your Instagram is really fun for me because I get to see your life and all the friends you're making and being an aunt. What do you feel like you're learning in this season of your life?
For me, I could talk about how being an aunt is the greatest thing ever for so long because Maris and David are literally like, I watch them a lot and I just love them so much. So it's definitely just like taking each new day. It sounds like kind of cliche, but like as like the best day.
That's
like
awesome.
I just like waking up every day, especially because I got to go to school a month late because of my surgery. And I didn't think that I was going to be able to go to school this semester at all. So just I'm like really grateful that it worked out. Like every day I'm like, I get to be at school and I have one in-person class because, you know, that's just how it happened, my surgery. And like, this is the best class ever. Like
that's
making
awesome.
everything like this is the greatest thing.
Wow.
So,
you know, you said that simple, but that's actually really profound. And that would change a lot of people's life if they looked at life like that. Because I think a lot of people are prone to see what's wrong with their life. It's like, oh, I didn't get to start school for a month later and I'll only get one class. Like the simple change in language of this is what I actually get to do. You know, like I get to still go to school. I have an awesome class. I have 2 great, you know, I have a niece and a nephew. I have great family. We had a day together. Like when you start seeing the world and seeing life as the things to be grateful for and everything as a gift, changes your whole personality, you know, changes your countenance. That's why you walk in here and like your joy is just radiant, which is just so beautiful. But what do you think surgeries, because how many surgeries have you had?
I've had 15.
15 surgeries. So that's no small thing. And these are not like small surgeries. These are intense, hard surgeries. Do you think that having the surgeries you've had in your life have made you who you are in that way? And like, what have you learned the most from those things? Yo, we are in such a fun little season of life right now. Honey and Haven love each other. Honey's 2.5 and Haven's 6 months old. And Haven just thinks Honey is hilarious and she loves to play into that. So things have been so fun in the Huff house and a little bit hectic, especially with the holidays coming up and the nonstop energy. But keeping my girls stimulated and entertained during this season of life doesn't have to be that hard. There's so many great things out there like Kiwi Co. that is here to help with that, friends. This amazing subscription delivers a new product to your door every month that encourages brain building through screen-free play. This holiday season, you can give the gift of an inspiration with super fun science, technology, and art projects for kids with KiwiCo. This is a gift that keeps on giving month after month, and I am so here for it. We have loved every KiwiCo box that we've gotten. My mom also gets KiwiCo boxes for the older cousins like John Shepard and Zane. I love my KiwiCo boxes for Honey and for Haven. Literally Haven, as little as she was, like 3 months old, was loving the KiwiCo box that we got, the newborn one. And then this one is so awesome for Christmas. This is like a Santa building train tracks, and I know Honey is going to love it because this girl loves to play and has a huge imagination. So I'm so excited about it. So every crate is tested and approved by by the world's toughest critics, which are kids. So you gotta know these things are great and awesome. Plus, projects are stress-free for the parents because KiwiCo sends you everything you need. All you have to do is just enjoy quality time with your kids. KiwiCo projects are designed by teachers, engineers, and rocket scientists, so you know that they're both exciting and educational. And with 9 different subscription options, there's something for every kid, from infants to toddlers and even teens and beyond. Even when Haven was 3 months old to now 6 months old and Honey being a toddler, it's awesome. It's a monthly box of whoa awesome that shows up at your door. And with no long-term commitments, you can pause or cancel this at any time. So discover hands-on fun with KiwiCo. Get your first month for free of any crate line at kiwico.com/SadieRob. That's your first month for free. I'm telling you, these things are awesome. Just go to KiwiCo, KiwiCo.com/SadieRob. Check it out. So easy, so fun, and your kids are going to love it.
I think it took me a while to just like process it all. Like I didn't really talk about like growing up, like I really didn't talk about my surgeries at all. Like to my friends, like it was just kind of like, oh, gotta go to the doctor, got to miss a day of school every 6 weeks and, drove 4 hours to Dallas and like that was just like normal. But I just didn't realize that like other people just didn't have this at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in high school, my junior year, I had my 13th surgery. And that's one of like the big ones that I have to have, but they break my top and bottom jaw. And that one was really rough. And I was like, yeah, like they told me, they were like, yeah, we're gonna have to like talk to you and make sure that you're all right after, because it's not like for like my mental health, because it's not that I think that I'm ugly when I look in a mirror, when I'm like swollen and like my face has changed, but it's the fact that my face looks different. And so where like other people may not notice, like, oh, your face kind of looks a little bit different, but it's like my face that I've look in the mirror every day. I know myself, but it looks different. And so it really affects the way that you live your life. Like in photos, it's not like, oh, I look bad, but that isn't me.
Different, yeah.
So that has definitely been what I'm going through right now after having another big surgery in August. It's not where I'm like, oh, the surgery made me look terrible. It's like, oh, I have to just adjust to the way that it makes me. Like, oh yeah, I look different, but that's okay.
Wow.
I look good. So that's been like my mom has been helping me a lot with that. Because like I, lose weight and I don't look like myself. And people say comments to me all the time like, oh, are you been eating? Like, you look so small. And my mom is like, she literally had jaw surgery. Of course she's not eating normally. So I'm glad for her because she always sticks up for me. But that's just been a little bit different right now. But it has definitely affected me. But it's also made me feel like stronger. Where I know like if, I do bad on an exam at school or like I'm having trouble with like a friend or something, it's like, okay, like perspective. Like, okay, this thing should not take up this much time. Like I have this to worry about and like I just need to pray about this. This should not like take its toll on my life. So it's definitely
good.
Yeah, maybe become I would say like less dramatic.
Less dramatic.
Look, her character has really come out in a positive way. Because what she, just to help illustrate what she said, the 2 worst times of this process that has been, it started when she was born. Because when the people delivering the baby say, leave the room to the parents, and they're like, we're not sure if she can breathe on her own. I mean, my perspective changed from that day, moving forward. But the 2 hardest things for us as parents to do was to hand her off, because it was like, we know this is fixing to be terrible for her. They're fixing to inflict a lot of pain and bloodshed, and the recovery time's going to be long. And even though it's for the best, which made me really reflect on God sending Jesus.
I was like, wow.
But that was always difficult. And the second thing was every time she came in recovery, her mom and we were devastated. And you're like, why are you devastated? And I remember the doctor would always look like, why are you so upset? Because we would, we'd cry. And we would be like, because she's different. Because as parents, when she had her first major surgery, they fixed, her nose was over here and she had a real big gaping hole. You would think, oh, this is great. But for parents, we had been with her every day, every minute. Yeah. Those little subtleties, they didn't look like imperfections. They didn't look, you're looking at them like, well, she's cute, And so her being different was just devastating.
Yeah.
And it was every time after that. So
Wow.
I really understood when she started talking about that from her self's view, that
Wow.
that's a big challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And big picture, she's never gone 6 weeks without seeing a doctor in her life.
Wow.
Which when you start adding all that up, you see this has been really tough. And I just wanted to add one thing. We were talking about this on the way up here in an unrelated story, but it's like, when she was being a teenager dealing with, because kids can be mean and they say the wrong things, even saying something about her weight now.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a terrible thing to say. She's doing the best she can.
Yeah.
She realizes I'm skinny. I can't eat.
Can't
I'm
help
eating
it.
through
Yeah.
a straw for 2 months.
Yeah.
What do you think? You're going to lose some weight. But people are trying to say something encouraging. They're like, we're worried about you. And you're like, I'm fine. I'm good.
Yeah.
And it's just a dumb thing to say.
Yeah.
But even having said all that, when she was going through a tough time emotionally, just dealing with all that, I got some advice from a counselor friend of mine. He was like, what you got to realize is what she's had to go through is the equivalent of what our soldiers go through when they go through trauma, and you spend all this time alone and you're recovering from all these injuries. And, they have that term PTSD. And he said, I think you should allow her to talk about that. Because think about, while all the kids were at school through all these surgeries, she's alone, suffering.
Wow.
And so when we opened that door, which I thought that was terrible advice, and I was dead wrong. When she had the ability to talk about all the loneliness and all the pain and all the blood and all the other kids that you see going through these terrible surgeries, that just takes a toll on a kid. That's tough. You need to talk about that.
Yeah.
And I really think it was one of the turning points in her coming to grips with the condition that she has.
Yeah.
And it really spurred her to want to help other people. Once she kind of looked back at the old self, to use a spiritual analogy, she was like, this is just part of it, and it's rough. It stinks. Wow. This is something you got to be willing to walk through. It's a lot of suffering. So I was really proud of her for opening up about how tough that really was.
Yeah.
And so it really found a home in her character to want to help other people and a joy despite, what the lot in her life.
And I didn't talk about it until I think it was my junior or senior, maybe my senior year. We're on the way back from Dallas, and my mom was like, hey, we have a Clef kid's mom is just really struggling. Her daughter had her first distraction surgery, which is what I had when I was 11. And that was the most painful one I've ever had. They broke, I think, just my top jaw. But, because then they had to turn it physically every day.
Oh, let's not bring that up. I'll start crying. I mean, we physically had to move her jaw. Well,
Mom and
Missy did it. I literally couldn't take it. Every day they had to turn a screw that was moving her jaw forward.
Because your bones are still movable after they break them, so it sounds easy, but it's
it doesn't sound easy. Yeah,
it's just
no, it's
they're better.
It sounds
they're
really
more
horrible.
Able to move quicker after surgery. So people were like, oh yeah, that key when you have an expander. We're like, no. They're trying to relate. I'm like, no.
We're moving the jaw forward despite her being in complete agony.
It's hard to understand, but it really did what happened. And Mom's friend who was a nurse, she would bring over a little snow cone for me every day, and I would just eat it and wait for my mouth to get a little numb, and then we would do it.
I would walk outside and pray. Because I couldn't watch her suffer to that degree.
No.
It was just, I don't know.
So
oh my gosh.
This little girl was going through that, and she wasn't even talking to her mom, because it is your mom that is doing that pain to you, which is just another level. It's it's for the best, kind of what he was saying, but it's hard because you're like, that's my mom. You're supposed to take care of me. And she wasn't talking to her mom. She wasn't speaking. She was just hadn't spoken. Was just crying for a couple weeks. And she was I asked my mom if she could call us, and I had never even talked about that surgery before, and it happened 12 years before that. So I was pretty nervous, but when the mom called, she was just crying, and she was I don't know what to do. And me and mom hadn't even discussed what we were going to talk about, and I was just you're just going to have to kind of just suck it up. You're
Wow.
you're not in pain. It's your daughter. You got to do it for her. So when mom would be in my mouth, I would scream, and she'd be like, oh, she'd take her hand, and I'm like, no, you got to do it, girl. You can do it. So I'd be just do it. So I'm it's only bad for like a week and a half. And then it's like every day is a little bit better because you're not as swollen. So, you know, your
you get
stitches are
better.
healing. So it's okay when people are in your mouth, like if your stitches are healing.
Wow.
So that was when I was like, I think I was kind of like called, I guess. Like I felt, I guess the Lord being like, you needed to help other people because we did help her. And she was just crying on the phone, like, thank you so much. Like the doctors just, they didn't really tell me that it was this bad. Like we just didn't know.
Yeah.
And there's only so much, like they don't go home with us. So
Yeah.
they don't really know what it's like because
All
they
of
just
it.
do it and then they send us on our way. They're like, oh yeah, you got to do this every day, quick and easy.
Yeah.
And that's just not
It's
like,
So
not
not
quick
how
and
it
easy.
is.
After her first week, so I was like, well, I performed terribly. I couldn't even watch.
Mhm.
So they take her back to the doctor. We think that's over. You know, I was like, Missy, you got through it. Mia, great job. The doctor says, well, it's not moving enough. So now we have to do it 3 times a day.
Oh,
And
my
I remember hitting
gosh.
the floor. I just went limp and hit the floor. I was like, 3 times a day. So it's the devil is in the details of all this because it is a tough recovery process that you go through. And you got to remember, from everybody's perspective in our family and from the doctors, we're trying to help her breathe better, talk better, and eat easier. And everybody else is seeing it like, oh, well, you look so much better.
It's
you know,
not
and you're
about what
like,
you look like.
I mean, look, this is way more we'll get to that later,
Yeah.
but get past that, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what's so tough about it.
Y'all, I love trying new things. It's so fun to try new things and new seasons, especially at the beginning of the year. January 1st is coming up. And y'all, there is so much to learn and explore out there, and Liberty University can help you do that. Their mission is training champions for Christ, and all their classes are taught from a biblical perspective, which is pretty awesome if you ask me. With over 600 online degrees to choose from, Liberty can help you turn your passion into a career. Most classes are 100% online, and there's no set login time, so it's pretty doable for whatever schedule you have. With 8 weeks, subterms, and several different start dates every year, you can complete your classes at a pace that works for your life. Tuition for Liberty University's online program is in the top third for affordability compared to other online programs, and they also have tons of scholarships, discounts, and credits for prior learning experience or on-the-job training. Liberty is making it easier than ever to pursue your career that you've always dreamed of. Liberty is ranked in the top 5 best online colleges in America by niche.com, so you know I am not the only one that loves LU. If online school isn't for you, Liberty has an incredible campus with state-of-the-art facilities, tons of clubs, sports, and so much more. Liberty students come from all 50 states and over 70 countries, and together, Liberty students volunteer more than 500,000 hours of community service each year, which is pretty awesome. I love personally taking my online classes from Liberty. I know you will too. My siblings went to Liberty University, which they absolutely love. The campus is just absolutely gorgeous, and my sister graduates from Liberty this month. So we've had just an incredible time at Liberty. We're so thankful for everything that it's been for our family. So visit liberty.edu/Sadie to get started. And because you're a Whoa That's Good podcast listener, you're going to get your application fee waived. So friends, don't wait. Go to liberty.edu/Sadie now and make this the year that you pursue your dreams. That's so, I'm so glad you're sharing, because even me, I'm your cousin. I've seen you your whole life, and I just feel emotional because you don't know.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know. And I never knew the extent of what you walk through. And I think a part of that is because I wasn't up close and seeing it, but also you carry yourself so well and you are so strong. And your advice just a second ago was every day's a good day. And so it's how do you go through that and you live like this? I mean, I can only attribute that to your faith and your parents being who they've been in your life and your community, but you're who you are, who God designed you and knit you together in Missy's womb to be and to become. It's remarkable. I mean, devil didn't know who he was messing with whenever, you're taking these things, but then not only are you just going through them with the strength that you are, but then you have the capacity to then give to others and tell another mom, you're going to have to do this for your kid. you're just incredibly strong. So I think I just didn't realize, because I see you for that strength, but it's so good for you to share just the vulnerability and the authenticity of what it really is like, and like giving people insight in. Because I think just as people, we are so shallow. Like we're thinking it's like, oh, you look different. It's like, no, I am different. Like I am different because my life has been different than yours, and what I've learned from it, you can actually learn from. And it's a lot more than being skinny or being different or whatnot. And I also, even when you were saying that about seeing your daughter, and even the things that were different about her was who she was, and it's what you loved. And you being you, looking in the mirror, it might be different, but it's who you are. It's what makes you beautiful. It's what makes you original. It's what makes you unique. So when that changes, it's a tragedy, because you're like, no, like that's who I was. But then so many people walking through life, it's like they so don't like the things that make them different than everybody else. They try to change, they try to conform. And that's a great tragedy, that they're not recognizing the way that God designed them, and they're taking for granted what they were designed to be. And so you're just painting such perspective for so many people listening. And then even what you were saying, the heart of a father to have to watch their child go through something so hard, but knowing it's for good. I mean, that is the story of the gospel. Like God so loved the world that he sent his son. We say that verse just so flippantly because it's so quotable, but it's like a father sent his son to be in pain, knowing that it would save the rest of us for the greater good, and that we would have the hope of heaven. Like that's crazy love. It's crazy love.
Yeah. One of the things I thought about too is, Jesus, he did so many miracles and he helped people. And so one little subtle thing that you don't really think about is when he had Simon carry his cross, well, he could have just snapped his fingers. It wasn't that he wasn't able to carry his own cross. He could have done it. Just, it would have been a snapshot moment of what God is doing, but he allowed that help. And even though he's given up his life, for all us, and you think, why in the world is that in the Bible?
Wow. And,
but you realize the first time that when Mia stepped up and said, I want to help other people, and her charity was formed, which is other kids that have gone through similar things like she has. And look, they've been beaten and battered, and there's a lot of kids that have gone through way worse things, and we've met families that have 2 kids that have had to go through. We actually have a few of those. But the first time we all got together and invited the families we've helped, which we've helped 170 families, as of now, and connected them all with each other. Because you need that connection, which, to go back to my point about Simon carrying that cross, there's something about connecting in that. That's and needing help, even in the smallest of details, that is very powerful. But I remember looking around, and I remember seeing Mia step up, and I thought, they need us. This is a battered group. So I'm real proud of you.
That's beautiful. This is so sweet. I'm so glad y'all are both the podcast. I had to fight tears because I'm hosting a podcast right now, but everything y'all are saying is just extremely powerful. I'm so proud of you, Mia, as my cousin, and have so much to learn from you. I've always learned from you. I just have to tell this story because you're supposed to be in the choir this year at conference. And I really don't know if I'm going to be able to tell this without crying because it was so sweet. But you were going to be in the choir, and then the surgery popped up. And you were like, no, I have to be in the choir, Sadie. I've been looking forward to this all year. And your voice is beautiful. You sing so well. And also just your posture of worship is so beautiful. I would, of course, want you to be in the choir. But you had the surgery. And was it a week before? I mean, it was 2 weeks.
2.5 weeks.
It was not much time.
It was not much time.
And so you're basically I'm going to have to be in a wheelchair, but I want to do Ezra anyway. And everything in me wanted to be yes, but we didn't have the wheelchair accessibility up to the stage. And also I was kind of worried about you. I was like, are you going to be able to be fully up there and all the hype of it? And you're 2 weeks post-surgery, are we sure this was a smart idea? And I'm like, next year, for sure, no doubt, front row, wherever you want to be in the choir. Shoot, you can lead the choir, But maybe since the way that it's all accessible, it won't work this year. Well, I sat behind you, and I haven't even told you this, but I have a picture of you. I was behind you. I have a picture of you, and you were in your wheelchair, and you were worshiping. Your hands are up. And it just really got me. And I took a picture of it to send you next year. I was going to save it and send it to you next year when you're on stage worshiping, because, you know, being on stage is a beautiful thing because you can lead, but like you lead in the private moments so loudly and you lead in the public moments. Like who you are on stage is just a small percentage of what people get to see, a small percentage of just the well of wisdom that you are in your personal life. And I have learned so much from just watching you from afar. That moment was super huge for me because I know how badly you wanted to do it. And it wasn't because you wanted to be on stage. It was just because you wanted to be a part of the room. You just wanted to be worshiping with the room, but you were a part of the room and you were worshiping and you were leading, because I sat behind you and I was watching you and you were leading me in worship. And it was just a really powerful thing. So the way you've lived your life is just beautiful. Like it truly is so inspiring. I love that you brought your Bible too. I noticed y'all both have your Bibles. I know you travel everywhere with your Bible.
I do.
And seeing you now travel everywhere with your Bible. Speak a little bit into, because, you know, we all have incredible parents, both of us, and our family's amazing. Everyone has gotten to see our family on Duck Dynasty and learn from them. Maybe they listen to our family's podcast. Maybe they read our family's books. But there was a time where our faith had to become our own faith, right? And if it didn't, you wouldn't be sitting here with your Bible. You know, you'd be chilling like, I'm Jase's daughter, but you're Mia and you have your own thing. When do you feel like you shifted from my parents' faith, I'm a part of the Robertson family, to I'm Mia and this is what Jesus did in my life?
I would say beginning of senior year. I like distinctly remember like the switch in me. I got baptized in June of 2021 by like, I guess, Papa Phil. And that was just a really big shift for me. I remember asking God, just like, there was just so much doubt. I just had my major surgery and I was like, Lord, like, I just need to know that you're still walking through my life with me. And I just feel alone. I don't like know who to talk to. I mean, a counselor that summer, her name was Claire, and she would not mind me telling the story, but like literally our lives were just so similar in what we had gone through. And she just gone through just like a hard time in the previous years, and she looked at me and she was like, if I had to go through this again just to meet you and help walk with you through this, like I would. And she was like, I literally never talk about like my past or anything, but like I've just suffered just feeling alone, just like going through all these things, and just I thought I had no one with me. And then it was just amazing. I was like, Lord, that was the Lord literally like, you need to tell me of this story, Claire. And that was the Lord being like, I'm still with you. And so decided to get baptized. And then I guess that fall I decided to like really make my walk with Christ. And I could tell the switch even on social media.
That's cool.
I didn't even acknowledge that of the following. I just posted what I wanted, and if people commented didn't know, I would delete them. Like I was like, nope, this is for my friends. Like I don't want any part of this. Like I want to be a private account. Like I can't do this. Like I feel pressured. And then I was like, I think, why don't I just use my platform? There's so many people now that would literally like, they want this. This is what they wake up and they're like, I want to get more followers. I want to get more likes. Like, and I was like, I already have this. Like, I should use it for good. And I posted,
it's cool.
Like, my first post, like about Jesus, and it was, like, a lengthy one. And I was like, I'm not even called to do this. Like, I'm not wise at all. Like, what is this? And it was just, like, how I see Jesus in each one of my friends and just, like,
that's cool.
in my life. And I got, I guess, shadow banned. I don't know if that's the word.
Oh, wow.
But, like, lost followers, like, likes cut in half. And I was like, I don't care. As long as one person sees it, I don't care. So I guess ever since then, the shift has,
that's
like,
cool.
I've seen it in myself, and it's evident more in just, like, how, like, it's kind of silly, but, like, how I type my posts. It's just, like, I can tell, like, I would have never written that. I didn't want to, like, acknowledge Jesus. Like, I was, like, kind of embarrassed. Like, oh, I don't want people to criticize me. And I'm like, who cares? Like, they need to know this. So I think that's the switch.
Come on, girl. That's awesome. Well, that's what I think. I think, you know, I've heard people say to me, Sadie, I love what you're doing. Like, I'm a Christian and I love it. You share your faith, but I'm not going to do that on my platform because I'll lose followers. I'm like, I'll lose followers too. Yeah. But I'm not posting about my faith to gain followers. I'm posting about my faith because I believe, one, is the most important thing in my life. I believe that's the best thing I could give anyone. If people are going to follow me, then the only real benefit that would be is if I'm leading them to follow Jesus, you know, if I'm giving them something of value, if I'm influencing them for good. And so I'm like, you know, I think for the people saying that, if they really would taste and see how good God is, if they really had a true relationship with him, then I think the value of having fellowship, that would just start to minimize, because that's not as important as people really knowing the good news of Jesus. And so I love that you had that shift and you're like, nope, this is what it's all about. And we actually, Ella Worship, we just wrote a song. It's not out yet, but it's called Followers. And it's basically like, I don't care if it costs me followers as long as I'm following you. And that's like the whole premise of the song, because that cannot be, I think so many of us, we're so, we're like truly conformed by the pattern of this world and not transformed by the renewal of our mind. And so I love that you're doing that. Speaking of sharing the gospel, I know on y'all's TV show, you're about to, did you just preach the gospel or something on this last episode? Tell us about what that looks like for.
Well, we do a lot of things, and I've been doing this treasure hunting show, which has been fun. And it has a Duck Dynasty feel in that, because I got this idea from the Bible. I mean, there's a lot of illustrations about finding lost treasure and then
That's
causing
cool.
joy. I mean, the whole Luke 15 is Jesus is eating with tax collectors and sinners. And the Pharisees, the religious people, are like, well, who's he? He's claiming to be religious, but look who he's with. I mean, he's with the riffraff here. No upstanding religious person would be doing that. So Jesus tells 3 stories. And the most famous one is, the lost son, but there's one about finding a lost coin in there and about the joy that happens not only on earth when you find something of value that's lost, but in heaven. There's rejoicing in heaven. And for Jesus to use that as an illustration for why he loves every single person, no matter what they did, I thought maybe I should try treasure hunting. I mean,
that's cool.
So I got into it. And the irony of the show is, what is the true treasure? It's a subtle irony in all the episodes, even though we're finding all this lost history and relics and old coins. You figure out it's not about what we find. It's how do you really define true treasure? Sometimes it's the 75-year-old lady who is so hospitable that the whole episode became about hospitality.
Yeah.
She was just awesome. So we did a Christmas episode, but it was the first episode that I watched that I was really proud of.
That's cool.
It's coming out December 17th on Fox News. It's available, pay-per-view on Fox Nation, but on the 17th, they're just running it. And it was not really our intent. It was about family. That was kind of the theme, but it just morphed into how God gave up his family for us so that we could be a part of a forever family. And somewhere in there, Jesus was highlighted, and especially in the last few minutes of it. But Mia was there, and she sang fresh off of surgery. You were talking about that, and I thought about that.
Wow.
I mean, I think your mouth was still wired, but you played the piano and sang.
Me and Reed did a little worship song
Wow.
together.
Yeah, and she's fresh off of surgery. And it was just, it seemed real. It seemed authentic, because it was. We just had Christmas a little earlier so they could film it, but it felt like Christmas.
It felt like Christmas.
We
That's
just went
awesome.
all board, and our show's not scripted, so we just did Christmas together.
That's awesome.
And so I'm really proud of it. And I want to end with this, because when Mia played that night, and we sang a couple songs, and they played it at the end, and it was downright moving. I was moved just because we really were focused on our family and how God has brought our family together and who Jesus is. But when I saw the transition in her life, is because she would constantly be bored when she would go through a surgery and find ways to just get through the day. One of them, she played the piano, and she plays it really good. But before she had this transfer to the Lord, she played the piano. And so just the emotion.
You want me to say it or no? So he's told me this story before, but like when I would play, it was just like chords and things. And then whenever I turned to God, I would play worship. Even last night we're playing worship, and now it's like it was like when I used to play, it was just a scheduled song, and I would just practice it. And now it'll be 40 minutes of we'll just be playing, and it's all spontaneous. I do worship nights at school now, and it's we'll be there for hours. It's just all spontaneous because it's like gave my life to the Lord. I got His Holy Spirit, and He's guiding me, and it's like I'll be playing a song, and then a song will come to my head from that I haven't heard in 4 years, and it will just like, oh hey, like I can just, it's literally just the Lord, and I just didn't have, like, I wasn't following Him like my own faith before.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what you were gonna say.
I'm thinking I'm good now.
Wow.
But what I was gonna say
Wow.
is she couldn't
Wow.
talk, but you could, I'm just sitting there listening. I was like, I can tell the Spirit has moved into her life just from the passion of the chords. And I'm not a musician other than blowing a duck call. That qualifies. But the reason I get moved about the last time I told this story, I got moved at the Mia Moo event, and I couldn't talk for 5 minutes. And I'm fine with crying because Jesus wept, and I never cried till we had Mia. I was never a crier.
Wow.
But it just, you can't help but cry. It's sad. But I just thought, man, isn't that cool that even though she can't speak and she's recovering through this surgery, you literally can sense her spirit in the way she's playing the chords.
Wow.
And it was joy despite incredible suffering.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Normally I can sit through a podcast and I cry later. This has been the most like fight your tears to get through a podcast in the best way though. It's just beautiful. And I think like Mia, something that is so true about your life is it's really what you just said. Like she wasn't able to talk, but the gifting that God put in your life and being empowered by the Holy Spirit and the fruit of who He was just flowed out of you in the form of music. But even beyond just you sitting behind the piano, it's the same thing. You don't have to even talk. You're so filled with His Spirit. You're so filled with His love. And you say things like they're so casual, but they're so huge. Like if someone got what you said so casually spoken, it would change their life. You said, yeah, you kind of were like, I take over for Him. Basically, I gave my life to the Lord. I got filled with the Spirit and I can just do this. That's profound. Like you gave your life to the Lord. He is faithful to His promise and filled you with His Spirit. And you were able to do something you could not have previously done that not only blesses you, but it blesses everyone around you. And friends who are listening, it's the same for your life. Like getting invited into a relationship with the Lord, giving your life to Him, realizing that John 3:16 is not just a great verse to quote, but it's a great idea of the love. It gives you a great picture of the love of God, that He truly gave His Son to die on the cross for you so that you could have an opportunity to be in a relationship with Him and be empowered by His Spirit now before you even get to heaven, to receive the gifts of heaven right here on earth, to minister to others around you. Like if you get that in your life, everything changes right now. Everything changes for you. I'm so proud to be a part of this family, and I'm so proud to learn from both of you. I'm so excited that y'all's show has done as well as it's done. It's continued to put more episodes out there because people need a godly example out there in the world. I'm grateful for y'all just preaching the gospel and staying true to who you are. And Mia, God is just beginning, I believe, all the ways that He's going to use you. And I know social media can be annoying. I know it can be frustrating. I know it can be tempting to quit, but I hope you don't, because people need to learn from someone like you. You're an influencer worth following, and you have a lot to say. So go get your flip phone, live your best life, and then come back and get back on your iPhone and show the world what a light looks like. So thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.